So, you're managing the infrastructure for your team, working entirely in the cloud. Different tools, different locations, tight deadlines, and a lot could go wrong. Who has access to the data? Where are the local copies stored? What happens if a contractor walks away with a downloaded version? All of a sudden, now you're fielding security questions alongside your typical workflow requests, because once content moves into the cloud, you become the first and last line of defense. Let's make one thing clear. Most teams don't struggle with file management because they lack tools, they struggle because their infrastructure makes too many assumptions. And if you're responsible for keeping your team's workflow secure, you don't just need access control, you need architectural control. So today we're breaking down the weak points in the typical cloud workflow and how to fix them without slowing your team down. Now, cloud storage is easy to set up, but keeping it locked down, that's where things get messy. You're giving access to employees, contractors, and external vendors, all with different access needs. And you're relying on folder sharing, email invites, and download permissions to enforce security. But here's the problem. Every time someone pulls down a local copy, syncs to a new machine, or stores files on personal hardware, you lose visibility. And the bigger your team gets, the harder that becomes to track. Now you're looking at redundant versions scattered across machines, sensitive files sitting unsecured, and no real control over what's been duplicated, renamed, or moved. And most traditional cloud solutions, they manage the encryption keys for you, which means even if your storage is encrypted, the provider can still access everything inside. You're not just trusting a third party to hold your data, but to protect it. And if you're the one building the pipeline, that trust shouldn't just be assumed. LucidLink flips that model on its head. Everything in LucidLink is encrypted before it ever leaves the user's machine, and stays encrypted in transit, at rest, and even inside the file space itself. Only your team holds the keys, not LucidLink, not your cloud provider, and not anyone in between. It's called zero-knowledge encryption, and it means no one can access your files unless you explicitly grant access. Lose a password without a backup code? LucidLink can't recover it. That's by design. Here's how it plays out in a real workflow. Let's say your team member in London is working from a shared LucidLink file space. Files are streamed directly from the cloud, not synced, not downloaded, and they're encrypted. They're still working at full speed, just like in a local drive, but nothing is left behind. Disconnect from the file space and everything becomes inaccessible, even if someone has physical access to the machine. Now imagine you bring in a contractor for a quick turnaround. You grant access to one folder and only that folder, because with LucidLink, you grant access to just that directory. Behind the scenes, LucidLink encrypts that folder's key specifically for that user's device. They can't see the other folders, browse up the chain, or stumble into sensitive company materials by mistake. And when they're done, you just revoke access, and it's like they were never even there. No local copies to clean up, no excess folders lingering on a home computer, and no questions about whether you're still compliant with security protocols. That's not just better encryption, that's architectural control, and it scales with your team. And if you're responsible for protecting IP, securing collaboration, and keeping workflows compliant, you need infrastructure that makes the secure way the default way. LucidLink gives you a cloud-native file space that's encrypted end-to-end, with scoped access, no local residuals, and real-time performance. And no one but your team holds the keys. So if you're building a workflow designed to scale, build it on something that was designed to protect. Build it on LucidLink.